Hey everybody, I'm Justin with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we're taking a closer look at and installing the PowerStop Z36 Extreme Truck and Tow setup, available for the front end of your 2012 through 2020 F-150 at home. Now, you guys should be checking out this setup for your F-150 if you're looking for an affordable turnkey package to totally overhaul and update the front brakes on your rig, improving things like your stopping power for one, and also your appearance in the process. So the foundation of the PowerStop kit here, guys, will be the company's cross-drilled and slotted G3000 cast iron rotor, which, as you can see, has been given a very nice silver zinc coating. That's just there to help prevent any rust or corrosion on your non-friction surfaces. Now you got a couple things working for you here on the rotors, the slotted and drilled treatment. The slots are actually gonna aid in keeping that pad surface nice and clean. A clean braking surface is a more effective surface, whereas those drilled holes, those are actually going to aid in cooling. Now, PowerStop claims that surface temps are dropped by nearly 180 degrees with this combination here, and that's going to help greatly reduce brake fade when these rotors or the system itself is working very hard to haul down not only maybe like a trailer, but also maybe a heavy payload. Second part of the equation will be the Z36 heavy-duty carbon ceramic pad, because it is a unique pad and compound built specifically for heavy-duty truck and SUV use. And when combined with the rest of the PowerStop components that we have here on the table, you're gonna be looking at roughly a 20% increase in stopping power according to the gang over at PowerStop. Pretty solid stuff. Now, along with more initial bite from that Z36 pad, that's basically every time you stab that pedal, should grip up nice and hard for you. The pad itself will also be a little bit more resistant to heat long term. And again, heat is the enemy of braking performance. Heat leads to fade. Fade leads to those white knuckle moments whenever you're hauling or towing something heavy. Another thing to consider though too, even if you don't tow a lot, if you've upgraded the tire size on your F-150 to a set of 33 or 35 inch mud terrains, those things are pretty heavy and they can certainly affect your stopping power. So by adding a kit such as this, kind of reinvigorate your stopping power a little bit more, and certainly make up for any worn out components that you might be dealing with on your rig as it sits now. Last but not least, guys, those Z36 pads are going to be loaded into PowerStop's remanufactured dual piston front calipers. Now these calipers, yes, they're remanufactured, however, they might as well be new because they've been gone through and refreshed with pretty much everything, right? You're looking at brand new hardware, new pins, new bleeder screws, fresh rubber boots and seals, and then are all topped off with that nice bright red high heat powder coat to keep things looking good for many years to come, and will also look really good behind your favorite set of wheels, both stock or aftermarket. Now finally, guys, I do want to point out that the kit has been backed by a 3-year or 36,000 mile warranty, whatever comes first, just in case you should run into any issues. Price point for the kit will live in that mid $600 range, which is certainly going to be higher than your generic parts store replacements, but at the same time, not nearly as high as an aftermarket big brake kit from a company like Wilwood or Brembo. So definitely something to keep in mind there. So again, I would say this kit is pitted right there in the middle between your parts store blanks and those fancier kits out there. When comparing this to maybe your parts store options, you have to consider you are getting the things like the slotted and drilled treatment. You're getting the red powder coat on the calipers. So certainly some additional parts or pieces that you're going to be looking at here compared to your budget-friendly option. Now, as far as your installation is concerned, well, listen, brake jobs, I would say, are going to be one of the basics of automotive wrenching. But since this is a little bit more involved, you are going to be replacing your calipers, thus needing to bleed the entire system. Site is going to kick things up to a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. Call it a few hours to complete from start to finish. But now, what do you say we head out to the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown?
The tools you'll need for this project are a 1/2-inch drive impact gun, a 13, a 14, and a 21 millimeter deep impact sockets, a 12 millimeter wrench, a 3/8 wrench, a pair of needle nose vice grips with some rubber hose or a brake hose clamp, a small flathead screwdriver, and some brake cleaner. Hi everyone. Today we're installing a front brake kit on our F-150, so let's get started with the uninstall of the old system first. First thing you're going to want to do before you start tearing anything apart is inspect your brake hose coming from the bracket up here down to your caliper. What you're looking for is any kind of leakage or any cracks in the hose itself. If you do have any cracks or leakage, you're going to want to get a new brake hose first. Now ours looks pretty good. I'm not finding any issues with it, so first thing we're going to do is clamp off this hose to minimize any brake fluid leakage. Now if you've got a brake hose clamp, that's great. If not, you can always use a pair of vice grips with a needle nose configuration and some rubber hose on the end of it to protect the hose. So you're just going to want to clamp this on the hose so it clamps it shut and prevents any leakage. So you're going to want to clamp down here towards the end of the hose, and you're going to want this to be pretty tight so that it completely shuts off that hose. So now we go ahead and remove our banjo bolt with a 12mm wrench. Now, like I said, you will have some leakage coming out of the caliper, but as you can see, there's nothing coming out of the brake hose. Now we'll just put that bolt back in there for just a second. So we've got two bolts, one here at the bottom, one at the top. And we'll use our 13mm socket to get that out of the way. Now you can go ahead and just pull the caliper out. Now we go ahead and remove our caliper mounting bracket using our 21mm socket on this bolt here and this one down here. Now you want to be careful because once you release this mounting bracket, your rotor will be loose, so make sure it doesn't fall on your toes. Now you can go ahead and lift off your mounting bracket with the pads inside, and also grab a hold of your rotor and pull it off too. Now before we install our rotor, the first thing we're going to want to do, first of all, is make sure that we've got the one for the correct side of the vehicle. Now this one does have a sticker on it that says front driver's side, and it's also stamped at the top with the part number and an L for left side. So we know we've got the right one, as they are side specific. Next thing we're going to want to do is use some brake cleaner and just clean off the surface of the rotor to make sure that we remove any kind of manufacturing oils or any kind of contamination that may have gotten on there during shipping. So we're just going to go ahead and spray this down. And wipe it off with a clean cloth. We'll do the back side next. Now that we've got our rotor clean, we can go ahead and install this on the vehicle. We'll just slide that on the hub. And one thing I like to do is just install one of your lug nuts just to hold it in place while we're doing the rest of our work. Now we know it's not going to go anywhere, we can finish our job. Now we can go ahead and install our caliper mounting bracket with our original hardware. Now we're ready to install our pads into our mounting hardware. With our caliper mounting bracket installed, now we can go ahead and install our brake pads. Before we do that, we need to install these anti-rattle clips first. Now when you install these, you need to make sure, as you can see, that there are two different sides here. You need to make sure that this rolled lip side is facing away from the caliper. So we're going to just slip these in here like so. Press them in so that they stay tight. Now you've got one at the top and one at the bottom on both sides of the rotor. We're just going to push those in Like I said, do the back side as well. All right, now that your anti-rattle clips are pressed into place, we can go ahead and install our brake pads. Now, just before you install your brake pads, you're gonna wanna use this lube that's included in the kit, and you're gonna wanna put a little bit of lubricant right on the end of each of your pads, and then go ahead and slide it in. Now, once you've got them in, then you can also apply some of this lube to the backside. Now, it doesn't take a whole lot, it just takes a light coating to make sure that everything moves smoothly. Now, because we're doing this for demonstration purposes, we're not actually going to install the lube on ours, we're just gonna go ahead and show you how to install them. So we go ahead, and you wanna put these in at kind of an angle to start them off with, just because they will be a little bit tight. You want to go in as straight up and down as possible because it is a tight fit. Once you get one side started, then you can go ahead and twist it in and go ahead and press it in. And then do the same thing for the back side. Now that we've got our pads in, we can go ahead and install our caliper. Now, to do that, the first thing you want to do is make sure, of course, that your pistons are all the way inside the caliper. That way it'll have room to slide over both the pads. Then you're going to want to push in on the slide pin here at the bottom, and then slide the caliper over the top. And then we'll do the same thing at the top. Push that guide pin in so that the caliper can go and get ready to be locked down. Now we'll go ahead and install the supplied bolts, one at the top, and then the one at the bottom. Now we can go ahead and connect our brake hose. Now I've gone ahead and grabbed this caliper for the other side just to give you a better idea of what we're talking about here. Right here in the middle of the caliper, where this yellow cap is at, this is where your brake hose goes. This other one here with the black cap is your bleeder screw. We'll get to that in a little bit. We need to remove this center cap here so that we can connect our brake hose to it. So let's go ahead and show you how to do that. All right, to remove this yellow center cap here, it's just a matter of squeezing the sides of it and just pulling it out. It's that simple. Now, once you've got that out, then we're going to take a look at our brake hose, and you want to make sure that there's no copper gasket attached to the brake hose. Now there should be a gasket on either side of this banjo fitting here. As you can see, one side of our banjo fitting does not have the gasket on it. The other side still has the copper gasket attached to it. And we want to make sure that we remove that old gasket, otherwise we'll have a leak. So we're just going to use a small flathead screwdriver just to remove that, and then we'll use our original bolt. We'll put a gasket on one side, insert it into the banjo fitting, and put the gasket on the other side as well. And with our bolt and our gaskets installed, we go ahead and insert this into the fitting, making sure, of course, that this arm on the end of the banjo fitting fits into the hole in the back of the caliper. And then we'll go ahead and tighten it down. We've got our set completely installed on one side. So you can repeat this whole process for the other side, making sure, of course, that you tighten down all of the bolts that you removed to factory recommended specs, as well as your brake hose. Once you've got all that done, then we can go ahead and bleed the system and get all the air out so that everything works the way it should. Now that we've got everything installed and tightened down, now it's time to bleed the brake systems. To do that, we're going to remove this black cap here off of the bleeder screw, simply by squeezing and pulling it off. Now you are going to need a buddy to help you do this. They're going to be inside the vehicle. They're going to press the brake pedal down 3 or 4 times till they start to feel a little bit of resistance. And then they're going to hold the pedal as far down as they can. And you're going to loosen up this bleeder screw here with a 3/8 wrench. And you're going to repeat this process over and over until you get no air bubbles coming out of your bleeder screw. Once you've got clear brake fluid coming out, then you know you're done. Now the other thing that you want to keep an eye on while you're doing this is making sure that your brake fluid level does not get too low, which again will introduce more air into the system. So you want to keep that topped off at all times while you're doing this process. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Pump it 3 or 4 times. All right, and hold it down. Now we're going to go ahead and open up our bleeder screw. And then close it up. Now, as you can see, it was spitting a little bit, so that means it still had air in the system. Pump it again. Hold it. Pump. Hold it. Pump. Hold it. Pump. Hold it. All right. So at this point, we've got no more air coming out of our system, so we can go ahead and consider this done. And now you can go ahead and repeat this whole process for the other side as well. And make sure you clean up your brake fluid mess. And that wraps up our review and install of our PowerStop Z36 Extreme Truck and Tow 6-lug brake rotor pad and caliper kit for the front on a 2012 to 2020 2-wheel and 4-wheel drive F-150. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.